What is up, everybody? On to our next book review, which is going to be Deep Work by Cal Newport. I finished this book last night. I read it in about a week and a half. I just shot that other video. I'm obviously in the exact same fit if you watched the Relentless book review. Go watch this video if you haven't. But anyway, I read that one a couple weeks ago, but then decided to pick up or do a video on it. I just smacked my mic. Do video on it, and now I'm doing a video on this one. Anyway, let's get into it. So, Deep Work. It says, rules for focused success in a distracted world. Absolutely what this book teaches you how to do. Basically, deep work is going to be super high value work. One thing that I've got a few notes here on my iPad, so if you see me reading, then it's because I've got notes. So Cal splits work into two different categories. You have deep work and you have shallow work. So deep work, as he describes it, because he's a professor, at, I think, MIT, or an established college somewhere. And he's also a coder or programmer. So he described deep work for himself as sitting in a room, like putting his phone in the other room and working on, like, writing his research paper for whatever research he's doing at his university. And or for, like, a coding perspective, sitting and writing lines of code for like 1.5 hours. He determined that 1.5 hours is the optimal time for deep work, but cut out a 2-hour block because then it takes about 30 minutes to get into like a flow state of deep work. Because you're gonna get the most value out of this, out of deep work. Now, another thing that he talks about that's good chunk of the book is how much time and money people and companies waste doing what's called shallow work. And then he explains shallow work as doing things that like take up time and are considered like part of your work day, but are extremely just like not super relevant into getting the main goal done. This might be like sitting and answering emails or talking to your desk neighbor or something. And then he goes into he talks about multiple studies done on attention span and on quality of work in regards to like how your attention ties to the quality of work that you're doing. And in multiple of the studies that he presents in the book, people who are like distracted by, if they like have an open work setting, their quality of work goes down significantly, and it might take them 2 weeks to do a task that if they secluded themselves, locked themselves in a room with no distractions, they'd be able to get it done in like one work day. So, which is wildly important for a lot of business owners. There's a study that went over how much money a business was losing based on the amount of time that each employee was spending on sending emails every day, which it's kind of impossible to live your life in the modern times of 2025 without answering emails. But it's like, okay, he goes into some strategies that you can do to like eliminate the amount of time that you're spending doing the shallow work. But it was phenomenal. The studies were super interesting. It was like absolutely fascinating how much time, because then you go to think about how much time you're actually spending doing shallow work, and how many times you sit at your desk and you think you're working, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna write this email, I'm gonna send this email, I'm gonna read this, and then you're kind of just like jumbled all over the place, and you get like actually very little done in the grand scheme of things based on what your ultimate goal might be. Whether that's like writing a paper or, whatever that might be for you. And he also mentions another thing about like PowerPoints and spending time doing like company PowerPoints, and how a lot of times it's absolutely pointless when you could spend your time doing so many other productive things that generate revenue, either for yourself or your company. It's fascinating. This book was phenomenal. I'll probably read this book multiple times throughout my lifetime, especially to go back into the actual strategies that I want to do or that I want to use to start implementing deep work. The first half of the book is it's basically just explaining why deep work is valuable. Here, I'll show you the table of contents right here. As you can see, table of contents right here, why it's valuable, how it's rare, and why it's meaningful. And then the second half of the book are the 3 or 4 rules about how you can actually implement deep work into your life and how you can change your habits to get a lot more things done. Which is the 3 or the 4 rules are: work deeply, embrace boredom, quit social media, and drain the shallows, which is the shallow work. Rules 3 and 4, quitting social media and draining the shallows, this $30 book, or however much it was, $20-$30 book, was worth it just for that one part of quitting social media. He explains it in a way that makes you like want to stop being addicted to social media like everybody else, and really kind of like take a step back and look at what you've been doing, and how you can apply his strategies to not necessarily quit it, but quit it in a way that's preventing you from getting what you need to do done. So if that's a problem for you, which it most likely is, because it's a problem for almost everybody, then I would suggest reading it, because that one chapter is worth the entirety of the book itself. Same thing with draining the shallows, learning how to like cut your email time down and learning how to stop answering pointless messages. This is a super, super good book, guys. I would highly recommend. Like I said, I'm definitely going to read this again. I'm also going to lend it out to a couple of friends because I'm going to have them read it as well. So, great book. If you guys have any questions about Relentless, this book, then put them in the comments of the video and I'd be happy to answer them. About any specific thoughts or ideas that you might have regarding the book. But yeah, the next book I'm reading is, I'm going to start it after this video, but it is The 100-Year Marathon by Michael Pillsbury. It's China's secret strategy to replace America as the global superpower, which I'm pretty sure if you're not living under a rock, you can see this happening in real time. So I think it's important to read about this stuff, to understand it, so whatever is working on the rest of the population, you can prevent it from happening to you. So that's what we got next. Appreciate y'all listening to this book review about deep work. Here in a week or two, I'll have another one regarding the 100-Year Marathon. But until then, peace.